Hello everyone. The two quantitative variables that I used for my chart and my graphs are deadlifting maxes and squatting maxes. So I used the data from the IPF, that stands for International Powerlifting Federation, to see to see if a high deadlift max correlates directly with a high squat max. So first, I made this little table right here. The powerlifters I evaluated were in the 83 kilogram weight class. Here's their maxes for deadlift, down this column, squat down for this column. Using this data, I was able to make individual histograms for the two. This is the deadlifting histogram, obviously. The x-axis right here, this is the range of kilograms lifted by the power lifters, and on the y-axis right here we have the frequency, of course. This is the number of power lifters that fell into that range of kilograms lifted for their max lift at this particular meet. As you can see, I have the numbering, I guess, along the y-axis it goes by a half count. So here we have half, then one, then 1.5, then two. You obviously can't have half a person, but I decided to keep it just because the highest number we have is 4 right here, and it helps emphasize the difference. Just helps it look better. I did the same thing with squat. Once again, frequencies on the y-axis. Kilograms lifted is on the x-axis. Got the range of kilograms lifted down here at the bottom. It's also worth noting that I split both deadlift and squat. I split it up into 8 different bins. And all the bins touch, of course, being a histogram. And here we see, since it's not touching here, the value of that particular bin is 0. So onto the scatter plot. I have my squat along the y-axis, as you can see here, squat max by kilograms, and here we have deadlift. It's along the x-axis. This, of course, makes it the explanatory variable. Deadlifts are known as being the best, most beneficial lift one can partake in for overall strength. So theoretically, it makes sense that if your deadlift is high, so will your squat. So we went to see, or what I tried to do with this scatter plot is to see the correlation between that theory. So I added this regression line right here or I guess it's called a trend line on Excel, to kind of emphasize the correlation. It really helps us visualize the correlation between having a higher deadlift max and a higher squat max. So to do this, to add this to the chart, or my graph rather, I just clicked on one of the little plots. It highlighted them all. I went up here to chart design, add chart element, and then it's simple as tread line right there. I use linear, and it's really as simple as that. Here on the left, you'll see I have it bolded and I blew it up a little bit, is the correlation coefficient between deadlift and squat. To figure that out, I simply use this formula right here, hit the equals sign, add or type correl behind it, stands for correlation, and then I simply selected my my trends or my data. So I just highlighted C3 through C14 right here. I got my deadlift data, and since we wanted to see how that correlated with squat, so I made sure to put my comma and then highlighted D3 through D14. Highlighted those boxes. and ended it with an end parenthesis, hit enter, and the Excel does all that math for you. I also made it a little bit more, or a little less precise rather, using these buttons right here. And that's about all I did. As you can see, there's a positive correlation, at least within the data I collected, between these 12 powerlifters I have here. There's a slight positive correlation between having high deadlift max and a high squat max, which is proving my original theory correct. Um, Although having a larger sample size um, could change the outcome possibly. Same thing with maybe trying it with inexperienced weightlifters. As I said, I got this information from the International Powerlifting Federation, so all of these guys are the best in the world at basically moving heavy weight. So maybe if I tried with intermediate or beginners, it would be a different story. But nonetheless, with the information we have here, as I already stated, we have a slight positive correlation between the two.